Hello horror hounds, you find me in quite a celebratory mood today. Not only are we sending off our month of Povember in great style with the Masque of the Red Death, my apps, I've left my favourite till last, but also this morning I found out that my local Lidl has started again in time for Christmas stocking this coffee liqueur that they had last year that I went absolutely crazy over. I bought myself about 4 of these and was inconsolable when they left the shelves. So they're back again, and I'm about to have my first sip of it. It's a great box. It comes with 2 of these glasses as well. I'm about to have my first sip of the year of their coffee liqueur. So I'm simultaneously bidding a fond farewell to Povember, and I'm welcoming in, it's truly Christmas now, welcoming in the Christmas season. Salutations to all of you. I've waited 12 long months to taste this again. I'll get in. Honestly, what can I tell you about The Masque of the Red Death that you don't already know? It's one of the 2 films, this and Tomb of Ligeia, that Corman shot in the UK. 2 films that round out his Poe cycle of films. Because of tax breaks in the UK, both of those films benefited from a larger budget and a longer shoot, and I think it shows. But what I find interesting with these 2 films is, whereas with Ligeia, for the final film in his cycle, he decided to break with his formula of shooting on sound stages and controlling absolutely every element of them, and shooting in bright sunlight and on location and out in the English countryside, really reinvigorated that model of Poe's story. Its sister, shot over here in the UK as well, is the complete antithesis of that. Really the perfect distillation of his original model, shooting everything on soundstage, controlling absolutely every aspect of it, from set to colour, especially colour, design and intention. This is designed to within an inch of its life. It's such a beautiful looking movie, and it's just got such a consistency of tone and intent, and such a great through line of a story. We've talked previously in the Povember month as to how, when some of these stories are so very, very slight, and The Masque of the Red Death is no exception, it's a very, very short story, that the writers would flesh out to feature length. They take Poe's story as maybe the end point, the climax of the film, as with The Pit and the Pendulum, and build a story that would lead up to that would often magpie elements from other tales of Poe, and marry those two with greater or lesser success, some sort of psychological or supernatural mystery of the writer's own invention. Here, the invention part of it, I think, is something extrapolated perfectly from the very, very short story. You've got the idea of Prospero and all the lords and counts and dukes of the land walled up inside his castle, having a bacchanalian orgy of the senses, and essentially partying to the extreme, whilst outside the land is decimated by the disease of the Red Death. And extrapolating from that, an actual character for Prospero, for Vincent Price to play, a Satanist. And it works really well, and they also incorporate in its entirety Poe's tale, really, of Hopfrog. And I completely and utterly, even though I know where the seams are, even though I know the stories really well, I completely buy that Hop Frog's story could take place. Hop Toad, he's called in this for some reason. They change it to Hop Toad. I don't know. Writer's got to be writing. I could completely buy that Hop Frog's story takes place within Prospero's castle. But rather than have all of these different elements work towards building up to Poe's story, what we've actually got for the first time is various different story threads all running their way through, so we can get different resolutions at different times. It seems the most polished script, uh, the most intricate script. So Hop Frog's story reaches a resolution. The Satan worshipping story of Prospero and Jane Ash's character, the innocent girl of Christian faith he finds in the village that he wants to try and tempt over to the side of Satan, and that story reaches a climax at a different part. Poe's story of the Masque of the Red Death then reaches its climax. So all the way through there are strands being played with and plucked at much more deftly, much more professionally than in previous adaptations that have just taken elements here and there from Poe. And this film builds up to about 3 or 4 different payoffs. Vincent Price is absolutely on fire in this movie. Vincent Price is the true villain of the piece, servant of Satan and his own dark, twisted whim, just looking for entertainment and the ability to take innocence and corrupt it in the name of Satan. And Price has a ball. Often accused of being campy, absolute nonsense. I said this at the start of the month and I will reiterate it again at the end of the month. Absolutely nonsense. He pitches his performances as they need to be pitched, and you would have thought that with a character like Prospero, he'd be twirling his moustaches and rolling his R's with the best of them. But he absolutely doesn't. He draws it right back in. I mean, God, he has fun, but he does not have fun at the expense of the film. Prospero is literally having a ball. Prospero is having the time of his life. So Price himself is able to have the time of his life. He's just, this is the best you will ever see him. Not that he's not equaled it in other films, because he absolutely has. But Price is a sheer delight in this. And there are other strong performances here. Hazel Court, really given something to do. She was previously the wife in The Premature Burial, and she was, even though at the end there were revelations, sort of Scooby-Doo revelations made in that film about her motivations. So I guess if you go back and watch it again, there might be some subtleties here. Here, Hazel Court is allowed to let loose. She's an acolyte of Prospero's and wants to be a bride of Satan. And her relationship with Prospero changes as soon as the virginal village girl is brought into the castle as well. She completely lets rip. She's sexy as hell in this. There's just no other way to say it. When you give these talented actresses roles that aren't just wife or mistress, and give them some fucking agency of their own, they really show you what they can do, and she knocks it out of the fucking park. You can't take your eyes off her. You can't take your eyes off Vincent Price when he's on the screen. When they're on the screen together, fucking forget about it. Couple that with the fact that they're in just absolutely the most gorgeous looking film you're ever likely to see in your entire life. When we spoke earlier on in the month about The Pit and the Pendulum, and how it was acknowledged that that movie was an influence on later Italian horror cinema, and the Giallo and Bava and Argento. You can't watch this film and not think about Suspiria in particular, and not just the lurid Bava-esque colours. When the camera glides through those succession of coloured rooms, precisely as they're described in Poe's short story, following Vincent Price through, you will think that that Argento is perhaps behind the camera there. Who is behind the camera is a young gentleman named Nicholas Roeg, a cinematographer for this. Later on will become a director in his own right and will direct, among many other classics, the sheer perfection of a film called Don't Look Now. And it put a smile on my face. It's so hard not to draw a connection when you get to the end of this movie, where Prospero holds the master ball, and there's only one rule for that: no one is to wear red, because he doesn't want reminding of the Red Death that's beyond the castle walls. And to see Prospero in the ball chasing after the red cowled figure of the Red Death just off in the distance, just any character in cinema ever who chases after a figure dressed in red will make you think of Don't Look Now. And to know that Nicholas Roeg was cinematographer on this film when that sequence was being shot, and then years later would use that colour red with the plastic red Mac to pick out the small figure running around Venice that Donald Sutherland chases after. It's a connection too perfect not to draw. Is it scary? No, and I'll be honest with you, it doesn't need to be. It's visual poetry. If I was gonna be really icky about it, there's a dream sequence, or a nightmare sequence in this case, which Corman put in an awful lot of his Poe adaptations, where Hazel Court in her bid to be wedded to Satan is attacked by a succession of ethnic characters, is ethnic stereotypes who come along and stab her repeatedly, and they're supposed to represent Satan. That's a little troubling to a modern eye, which is really unfortunate, because the way it's constructed is superb. It's one of the best dream sequences in Corman's entire run, I'd say, alongside Ligeia, actually. They're all sort of tribal warrior figures. So just put one knight in, one Caucasian warrior stereotype, archetype as well, and the problem's solved, and then you're just not equating Satan with dark skin. So yeah, it's visual poetry. Everyone is on top of their game. Film has rarely looked more beautiful than this. The likes of Mario Bava and Dario Argento certainly take up that mantle and run with it to create beautiful looking horror movies. Bava with Black Sabbath, one of the most achingly beautiful horror films I've ever seen, and Argento obviously with Suspiria, and to a lesser extent Inferno, the like of which we haven't really seen until very, very recently with I would suggest a filmmaker like Nicholas Winding Refn with Drive, and what I suspect, I've yet to see it, Neon Demon looks like, at least. I think from everything I've heard, Neon Demon taps into this heritage of movies that does go back to the wonderful Masque of the Red Death. I'm going to pour myself another glass of coffee liqueur. I'm going to remind you that Povember has ended now, and coming next will be reviews of movies that you've asked me to do based on the big stack over there of DVDs and Blu-rays that I'm looking at. If you haven't had your say and want to request something that I look at, please check out my video called Choose My Reviews. You'll see the pool that we're drawing from there. Drop me a comment, tell me which of those you'd like me to see, and I will, essentially what I'm going to do next is any one that's been asked for out of those from that Choose My Reviews video, I will be doing next. In no particular order necessarily, but if you've mentioned it, I will do it. Hell, cheers.